Hi, this is Jack from Alpha Charts with a state of the market update. Today is July 4th, 2020. Happy 4th of July to everybody. This video is for educational purposes only. These are not recommendations to buy, sell, or hold any stock or security, and I may hold positions in some of the equities mentioned. Know your time frame and risk tolerance. Also, if you enjoy these videos, please like and subscribe to the channel. All right, moving on to SPX. This is where we always start. And so right now, it just looks like that the market is consolidating these nice gains off the bottom, and it's just consolidating through time. A little bit of distribution happening here within the consolidation, but nothing crazy. Key levels are being held, right? This being a major one right here. Also, the 23-day EMA is in an uptrend. So, I mean, everything looks pretty healthy right there. If we break this moving average and we clear below this green area, then I could change my mind. But as of right now, everything looks pretty good. Looking at the Qs, let's take a look. Okay, so this trend channel, going to a weekly chart, trend channel is has been intact forever, or at least 2009. And this week right here, when we really dig into it, is starting to try to break above the trend channel. So that's interesting because it's something different, right? Here it is right here. Let's get all my arrows in the right spot. All right, so here it is, broke above it kind of, just slightly. So now my question is, are we going to get a situation like this where it breaks out and then comes right back in, or does it keep going? I think those are obviously the two potential scenarios. The other one, I guess, could be a more of a sideways movement of a choppiness. But so if we come right back in, I think we have to be careful that this all-time high, prior all-time high holds, right? So this 236, 237 area, just draw that in here. I'd want to see roughly this area hold, right? If it comes back in, then people will start be calling for a head and shoulders maybe or something. Now, who knows? But I think this is the area that needs to really hold, even if we do come back in. The uptrend is strong. It's intact. We are showing some distribution right here. So, we're not seeing a lot of or any accumulation, in my opinion, right here, and some distribution for sure. But I mean, that by itself isn't, I mean, it's important, don't get me wrong, but price action is the most important. And right now, it's healthy. Again, if we break down below 234, I'll change my mind for sure. But as of right now, everything is fine. Now, that's a pullback scenario. Again, I think this area would hold if it does pull back. The other possibility is the start of a new leg higher, right? And depending on the steepness of it, I would watch here for some type of blow off top, which could last a very long time, right? Could last 4 months. But if it's an extremely steep trajectory, that would be indicative of a blow off top. If it's more like, kind of more like this, not terribly steep, 45 degrees, 30 to 45 degree uptrend, that would be about normal, something like this, that's normal, something like this, that's it's a little bit steep there, but it lasted for a long time. And if you notice, the 23-day EMA held strong the whole way. It's when you break that 23-day EMA is when the problems really start, right? So as long as we have an uptrend of the 23-day and things are moving higher and prices are trending above it, I think it's all good. IWM remains the weakest uptrend. This is really just a choppy mess right now. It's in a void. There's nothing really to see here. If we start moving much higher, that would definitely be a risk on indicator, and we would probably see the financials and energy doing much better in that situation too. Now, the financials, looking at those, They look a lot like the IWM. It looks like a choppy mess. Nothing to see here. And actually, when you look at the XLF relative to the SPX, we'll go to a line chart here. You're seeing, get rid of that volume. Look at this weekly chart. All right, so here's the weekly chart. And this is the 2009 lows. And so XLF is now hitting it for a second time right here. I'm just wondering on the relative strength if we're seeing any kind of divergence. And we are, look at that. So there's the divergence right here. So one thing I'm going forward, I'm watching for is XLF going to hold right here and potentially start to outperform, even though it's been a dog, it's been terrible, right? But this is an area that I'm going to be watching on a relative basis. And then looking at the actual stock, again, here's closing price. Let's go to bar chart. So this trend line has held so far. 23-day EMA is trending down right now, but if pricing get above it, it has a chance on the relative basis to outperform. We'll see. Again, there's always going to be, divergences are my main thing. You don't see me, using them too often, but it does show a positive divergence on a relative chart. And again, it's beaten down. We'll see if it makes a U-turn or not here, but it's at the point where that could happen. So just something to keep your eyes on. Semiconductors, right here at all-time highs. I think it actually closed at all-time highs. So that's huge, right? Hasn't quite gotten above this 154.75, 155-ish area. I would really like to see that happen, but it was a big run, right? And so now it's just consolidating right at all-time highs. 23-day EMA is an uptrend. Again, you can't complain with that. That's kind of what it's supposed to do, right? I mean, no significant selling. Let's look at the volume. Yeah, the volume looks fine. It's kind of what you'd expect. At this point, nothing really to see here, right? Everything looks good. Let's look at lumber. Lumber. All right, so lumber. I was worried about it here. Is it going to break down? It would made a lower high, and it still made a lower high again. If this is, the end of it, we don't know that. But this area held. And on a weekly, let's just go to line charts. On the weekly, this was the area that had to hold. And so far it did. So everything looks okay in lumberland. Wood isn't giving us any indication of more weakness to come yet. Again, if we break down below 52.50, that I'd be a little bit more concerned. But as of right now, things are holding tight right now. So that's pretty good. Value line geometric index, again, just a consolidation within an uptrend right now. Here's a 23-day EMA. Price is barely above it, but technically it is above it. It's flat. So we'll see what happens there. Again, that's a weekly. I'm sorry. Here's the daily. It is still flat, but price is above it. So we'll see. As long as price stays above it, this should hopefully come back up and then break out. But we'll be watching that one as a breadth indicator, value line geometric index. All right. Next up is credit spreads. Actually, before we get that, let's go to that. Let's look at the SPX TLT. SPX TLT weekly charts. Again, last week we said this was the important area. We saw it was important all along here. Broke out, broke down, came back, retested it. Successful retest, moving higher. That means that SPX is outperforming TLT. So as of right now, I think that it's a risk on environment, right? We, on a relative basis, if we break below this, that would definitely be more of a risk off environment. But right now, everything looks fine. The retest is holding. All right. So now looking at credit spreads. IEI versus HYG. lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high, lower low, lower low, lower low. And that was the weekly, and here's the daily. It all holds true. Yeah, maybe you can say this is a higher high. We'll see if that bodes. This is really the area that you need to be aware of. But as of right now, credit spreads are at least showing off sideways. Would love to see this area right here with a 1.57 area get taken out. Again, narrowing of spreads would be a healthy market, in my opinion. So that's what we're looking at right there. Put call ratio. Yeah, so we are just hanging out in this area, and I would call this a bullish range, right? Just like this was a bullish range, and you can see, bullish ranges happen all the time. Nothing crazy extreme here. So that all looks good. That was extreme right here. We saw the big correction, and now we come back, and it's just not nearly as extreme. Fine. Again, not much to say here. We're in a bullish range. Looking at the VIX. Yeah, VIX came way down here. A little spike up right there. Coming back down. Would love to see it below 25 to 24.5 area. But as of right now, it's heading in the right direction, right? Lower high, lower high. Let's see if we can make a lower low. Everything looks pretty good in VIX world. Looking at the copper gold ratio futures. And yeah, I mean, so, we're back to an important area, right? But this looks like a rotation up potentially. Everything looks fine here. As long as, copper outperforming gold, I think that's a positive for the market too. And again, if we break above this area, that would be very, very positive, I believe. Looking at the CNN Fear Greed Index, it is neutral at 50, so it's not at an extreme. So that, I think that's a more indicative of a bull market, right? When we're okay if we'd be over here, actually, that'd be fine too. But as of right now, no extremes in the Fear and Greed Index. So in the end, we just have basically, look at the cues, a trending market, right? A trending market. Everything's going fine. Moving averages are all lined up and going in the right direction. We are breaking out of this very long-term channel on the Qs. So we'll see how it responds. Do we get a pullback and a sideways motion? That would be normal and healthy action after this type of move. Do we go straight up from here? That would actually be, more concerning if we do go straight up from here, just because you'd be worried about some kind of blow off top situation. So, but if if we get a nice little trending market without a straight up, 45 degrees or less, in my opinion, I think that everything is looking good. All right. Well, I hope everyone has a happy 4th of July. Take care. Again, if you like this content, please like and subscribe to my channel. Happy 4th of July. Take care. Bye.